Hello and welcome to FTTR, I am Hugh McQuaid, and here it is, here are my thoughts on last night's Hell in a Cell pay-per-view. Now, this was an interesting one because we had the Roman Reigns Rey Mysterio match move to SmackDown. That was an okay match. I didn't think it was terrific, it was okay. And so we had a new main event. We had Drew McIntyre versus Bobby Lashley main event in the show, and I'm going to run down some of the things I liked, some of the things I didn't like about this card, some of the good moments, the bad moments. You get the gist. So we'll start off with the things that I did like. Let's go with the things that I did like, because I want to start off positive and end with the bad news. So let's start off with the opener. I really loved the opener. I thought it was terrific. It was Bayley versus Bianca Belair inside Hell in a Cell. And this match was pretty ruthless. There were some really inventive spots. I liked the kendo stick bridge in between the cell and the ring. I thought that was really fun. I thought Bayley was doing some great heel work. She really made me laugh when she called out Michael Cole for everyone, when he made a reference. I thought that bit was fantastic, personally. And then Bianca Belair was just stunning in this. The backflip she did off the top rope, avoiding the clocking by Bayley. And then the eventual finish, which was brutal. It was a KOD. I think that's what it's called. Pretty sure it's the KOD. Onto a ladder, onto Bayley. It looked like it really hurt. Really hurt. And there was just a lot of inventive stuff in this. The way I feel like they need to get away, though, from using Bianca Belair's hair and everything. It's like, yes, that is her hair. She uses it. Stop tying it to things. Stop holding it. Yeah, just get away from the hair. Get away from the hair. But other than that, I thought it was terrific. My match of the night, personally. Following on from that, we got Cesaro versus Seth Rollins, which of course these two are going to have a great match because it's Cesaro and Seth Rollins. They had a great match at WrestleMania. This was also a great match. I didn't think it was as good as their one from WrestleMania because I wasn't too keen on the finish. But they just had a really hard-hitting match. It's two guys who used to be in Ring of Honor. Of course, they're going to have a really fun match. It's going to be like an indie match. It was really good. Really good. Seth Rollins won with a roll-up, which, we'll get into some of the finishes on this, but wasn't too keen on. I wanted to see a clean finish from this one personally. I thought Cesaro was going to win. I thought he was going to cap off the feud. But no, I'm worried it might continue. That's a bit worrying. So then we'll get into some of the things. Well, not that I didn't like Sami Zayn versus Kevin Owens. I thought it was really interesting that Kevin Owens, couldn't breathe after his attack from Colonel Aziz. I think is his name on SmackDown. How he couldn't breathe and they were on about him coughing up blood. That stuff I thought was really nice, but it just didn't stand out to me this match personally. Sami Zayn won in the end. So shall we get on to the things I didn't like? It was very 50-50 on the things that I didn't like about this show. But let's start off with what I think was probably the worst thing on the show, and it wasn't even any of the matches or the finishes. The commentary on this show was unfucking listenable. Oh my god. Pat McAfee, I know you did some decent stuff in NXT. Your feud with Adam Cole was, it was good. But wow, they need to get him off that desk if this is what he's going to be like for every show. In the opening match, he was abysmal. Abysmal. It was one of the worst performances on commentary that I've ever seen. It's just because he's just screaming useless nonsense down that mic, just constantly. And Michael Cole is actually toned down and actually like, I'm going to call this properly. I'm going to call this in a way that is not insulting to the audience. But Pat McAfee's just screaming useless stuff about tying his shoelaces, and then he goes off on Bayley biting Bianca, just a bite on the wrist because she had a headlock. He's just going on about this for ages, and he's screaming it down the headset, and I'm like, oh my god, it was just painful, absolutely painful to listen to in that match. And then it didn't stop there because we just got a SmackDown match again afterwards, and he was just abysmal there as well. The Cesaro-Seth Rollins match. It was atrocious commentary. It hasn't been this bad, I think, since... Oh, I don't know, because commentary's been really bad. The only bit that I can think of that stands out as being this bad, though, that I can remember, was when Renee Young was on commentary and she was having to cover for the fact that Dean Ambrose was wearing a gas mask and a leather jacket coming to the ring. I think it was at TLC when he faced Seth Rollins. That was bad. But oh my god, it was just horrendous. I hated it. Absolutely hated it. Let's move on from the commentary, shall we? Please. And let's talk about Alexa Bliss and Shayna Baszler. Oh, Shayna Baszler. Shayna Baszler was one of the best things in NXT, and that was when I was peak NXT fandom as well, when it was Johnny Gargano going after Ciampa and Shayna Baszler just had a chokehold on the women's division. And to see Shayna Baszler lose here because of hypnosis is so sad. And I really miss great Shayna Baszler. I really do. And more than that, I'm going to get really angry now. It's this portion of the show, just after having Pat McAfee screaming in my ear for the opening 2 matches, and then having this, I was just so angry by the end of it. As much as I really liked those first 2 matches, I was just angry because I miss The Fiend. They're doing all this spooky nonsense, spooky bullshit with Alexa Bliss, but the thing we've latched onto as fans that we like from this was The Fiend. He's the character who started all this spooky shenanigans, and they've taken him away, and we're stuck with... It's like taking away the Joker and leaving us with Harley Quinn. The only difference is Harley Quinn is a more compelling character than just Alexa Bliss, who just acts like a child and then does spooky hypnotic stuff. It was really, really bad. And I don't like it at all. I just want The Fiend back, please. Is that okay? Can we have The Fiend back, please? Thank you very much. And then, let's talk about the finish to Charlotte versus Rhea Ripley, which was okay. I thought it was an okay match, but Rhea pulled up the top of the announce table, which got her disqualified, which is just doesn't make sense. It's just bollocks. It just doesn't make sense because it happened. How many times have people had their head hit on the table? It just doesn't make any sense, and this is why I don't watch WWE TV weekly, because it just breaks me. It just breaks me because of the inconsistency, and the storytelling is so poor. But that finish was so bad, and Rhea Ripley again is someone who I was watching in peak NXT when she was going up against Shayna Baszler, and it's like, oh no, why is this happening to you? Oh, it was bad. It was really bad. And then, this might be controversial of me, but I was not much for the main event, personally. I thought it was a bit too plodding, a bit too meandering. And I'm not particularly into Drew, and I'm not particularly into Bobby Lashley anymore. So this match to me just felt a bit sluggish and a bit slow and a bit meh. It wasn't terrible. It wasn't the worst Hell in a Cell match I've ever seen. But it just didn't do anything for me personally. I thought the finish of that was a bit weird, with MVP grabbing the leg of Drew and then Bobby just rolling him up in the main event. The main event of the pay-per-view. It got rolled up. It felt like a finish that you'd see on WWE TV. It felt like a finish you would see on Raw. And I just didn't enjoy it. It just wasn't for me. Didn't click. Didn't connect. So it left me on a bit of a down note. So this show had good bits in spots. I think it started off strong, is my overall thought. I thought the first 2 matches were really good, aside from Pat McAfee. But the rest of it just didn't work. Didn't work for me. And shockingly, the majority of it is all stuff that's on Raw. Something's up with that creative because it's just torturous, some of the stuff they're putting on Monday Night Raw, and I'm so happy I don't watch it week to week. I just watch the highlights. But yes, overall I'll give this show, I'd give it a 2 out of 5. Sadly, because I really liked the match between Bianca and Bayley. It's probably my favourite of the recent women's Hell in a Cell matches. I think it only competes with Becky versus Sasha. I thought that one was really good. But other than that, you know, Cesaro Rollins was okay, but yeah, 2 out of 5 show for me personally. Let me know. That might be controversial. Let me know what your thoughts are on this show down in the comments below, and I will try and reply to every single one of them. Thank you all ever so much for your support. Subscribe to FTTR and have a nice day.